Hey, welcome back to another video. My name is Megan and I'm a professional writer and editor and an aspiring author. Real quick, there is a ton of construction happening outside our house and I tried to find someplace quiet to record and there is no place quiet to record. So hopefully that's not too distracting and again, just apologies in advance. Today is more of an update video. If you've watched some of my other videos, you may already know that I am currently querying an adult paranormal horror called Chasing Ghosts. My God, that construction. There's been some interesting progress here and I wanted to share it with you. So I sent my first query on January 22nd of this year, and I sent 35 queries using roughly the same template, the same query letter, and then I paused. I wanted to see what would happen before I continued with that specific letter or, maybe reevaluate it. I started getting passes from agents fast. Some were rejecting me within days. Now, it's nice that I didn't have to wait to hear back from them for months and months, but if it was that easy of a no for so many agents, and I had sent, like I said, 35 queries, I thought, something must be off here. So I hired 2 editors who are also literary agents. And I already talked about this in another video, so I won't go into too much detail, but the second editor in particular gave me pretty significant feedback. So I made those changes, and since then I've sent another roughly 37 queries. Okay, so thus far I've split the pool of agents roughly in half. The first pool got the original version of my query letter, and the second got a different version based on the suggestions from the editor that I worked with. This is where it gets very interesting. I keep track of all of the queries that I send, all of the agents I reach out to, and I do this just in a Google sheet, it's like a spreadsheet. And for the status, there are 2 options. I either queried them and I haven't heard back yet, so that shows up like this in green, or if they passed, it shows up in red like this. Okay, so check this out. This is the first batch of agents I queried with my original letter. Here are the agents I've queried with the second version of my query letter. Notice anything different? So my original query got me significantly more passes faster compared to the newer version. Now, I know we could say, well, you queried the first batch long ago or longer ago, so those agents have had more time to respond. But I'm telling you, and I'm tracking this, many of these passes came within days. The later queries, some of them have been sitting here for a little while now with no response. The response has slowed down so much that I double checked to make sure my email was still working. I thought maybe I wasn't receiving email anymore because I stopped hearing back from people. That was not the case, thankfully. I didn't think this was a coincidence. I felt like at this point that I had enough information to say, okay, there's a pattern emerging here. But just to be sure, I emailed the agent editor I worked with, the second one, and I asked her, is this a thing? If agents are undecided on your query, will they come flag it and come back to it later? Like, could that be why responses have slowed down? Sure enough, she said, yes, agents do have a maybe pile where they will sometimes put your query for the time being because, for example, maybe they need more time with your sample pages and they don't have an answer yet. She then told me that she and another agent have a podcast where they have a whole episode talking about the maybe pile. I listened to that episode. It was really good. I highly recommend it. The podcast is called Flublishing, and I'll leave the link below. And just to be clear, I get nothing out of recommending this. I just personally found it very helpful and I genuinely liked it, and I think it's a cool resource. And if you do listen to it, Andy is the editor that I worked with. She was great. I can highly recommend her. So once she told me that, I was like, cool, progress. Progress is progress. I will take any bit of it that I can get. So I was happy. Then something else happened. To be transparent, I was debating sharing this, and I wasn't going to at first because with some things, I think it's just better to keep them for yourself, at least until you have more information, but I'll explain why I decided to share this. Not long after talking to Andy about the maybe pile, this happened. First, before I go any further, I want to be very clear. I am well aware that getting a request for a full does not guarantee anything, but I was still thrilled. This was my first request for a full, and that to me is progress. It's also, in my opinion, a little bit of validation that, again, the updated version of my query package, which includes my letter, synopsis, and my sample pages, Andy edited all of those. I think this means they're on the right track. Specifically, the agent who requested a full, I sent her my query letter and the first 3 chapters, not the synopsis, only because she didn't ask for it. So who knows? She could read my manuscript, and hate the plot. Still, there were a couple of things I took away from this. Number one, a win is a win. This was query number about 56. A win is a win. In an industry with so much competition and rejection, I will happily cling to any morsel of positivity I can find. Number two, again, between rejection slowing down and getting my first request for a full, that's feedback, and it tells me that I'm at least doing better than I was earlier. I know this industry is very subjective, but based on the changes that I've seen so far, I'm confident that this is an improvement, and I'm confident it will lead to more requests. Gotta think positive. If this request for a full does not lead to an offer, I've told myself that I will not be devastated. I'll probably be a little sad, let's be real, but I won't let that take away from the joy I felt when an agent expressed interest. And who knows, she might love it. I'm going to think positively. I think she's going to love it. I've talked about this before, and I think what I've learned so far really underscores the importance of testing your query package, testing different versions, and also getting feedback on it. I know of some authors who blast the same query to as many agents as possible, as fast as possible, and I get it. I know that when we get to the querying stage, we're so excited and we're feeling super motivated and we just want to get started, but I don't think that's the best approach personally. I think we need to be willing to slow down and give our query letters time to marinate. Imagine if I had just kept sending my original query letter to everyone. I didn't learn until I worked with Andy that I was actually making a couple of huge mistakes in my query package. I was very likely shooting myself in the foot because of a few glaring errors that I had no idea. I had no idea that I was making those mistakes. So I feel like I've tipped the odds in my favor even just a tiny, tiny bit. But I still did, and the results, I think, demonstrate that. I know not everyone is in a position to hire an editor. I can say that the two editors I worked with, their rates were very reasonable compared to the quotes I got from other editors through Readsy, which I know is a great platform, but those quotes were like triple to quadruple what the agents that I worked with charged. If you can't afford an editor or you're just not interested in paying an editor, beta readers can also be great. Just make sure you're working with someone who has the experience you need. We should still be careful whose opinions we listen to. And on that note, something else I've learned, not just with my query, but with my writing in general, getting multiple opinions and perspectives is really, really good, but too many can be detrimental while you're writing and editing your work. I think you have to be careful how many cooks you let into the kitchen. It can make things a little messy, and when I do that, I find that my goal becomes satisfying everybody's feedback regardless of how I feel about it, because I'm just trying to sort of check the box, oh, so-and-so told me to do this, so I did it, done, check, 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 check. That can't be the reason we make changes to our writing. So there's a balance to be struck there, and again, betas are great, editors are great. You just don't want to go overboard. Andy's company is Sons and Spines Editorial. I'm leaving that link below. Again, I get nothing out of recommending this, but I do want to vouch for her. I feel like it can be hard to find people you can trust. I had a great experience with Andy, and I will be reaching out to her in the future for a developmental edit of my fantasy novel. I'm very excited about that. Definitely check out the Flublishing Podcast. I have a hard time with that word. The episode about the maybe pile, that was new information for me, so it was pretty cool. And that's it for today, just a quick update. So drop me a comment, let me know what you think of all of this, let me know how you are doing, how your writing is going. As always, if you have ideas for future videos, feel free to drop that in a comment as well. Thank you if you made it this far. Thanks for bearing with me and for the jackhammer outside my window. That's been fun. And that's all for today. See you later.